Welcome back to MMA Sucka Fight fans. My name is Nate Freeman. I'm joined today by Stevie Ray, who's competing in the PFL 2022 Championship on November 25th. Stevie, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. So let's go ahead and get right into it. You are competing, like I mentioned, for the PFL Championship. You've moved through your three fights, and you're facing Olivier Aubin-Mercier in the championship. Go ahead and give me your thoughts on him as an opponent, what you see, and how you see the fight going.
Him as an opponent, he's a good fighter. He's pretty well rounded, and yeah, he's. I feel like he's one of those fighters that isn't the most entertaining to some people anyway. But he does what he needs to get the win. So he's on a 5-fight win streak. And yeah, he's a pretty good fighter. But like every fighter, he's got areas of his game where he's weaker and places where I feel I'm maybe better.
Absolutely. That makes sense. So is there a particular way that you see the fight going? Is there, do you have any predictions or anything?
To be honest, I always, I like to go through all the different scenarios in my head, when visualizing the fight, because you just sometimes never know how the fight's going to go. His last few fights, he showed a mix of kind of being on the feet, and then wrestling and stuff as well. So I mean, if you look at his last few fights, or even way back, everything's, I wouldn't say much changes in his style. He's got a good left kick. He's got a good left hand. Normal kind of southpaw stuff. He's a pretty solid. He's a decent sized lightweight. He's big. He's strong and decent wrestling. So, yeah, I don't think there's going to be anything that in the fight that I'm going to be surprised with. And I'm just I'll prepare for a 5-round war. But obviously, it'd be better if it doesn't go 5 rounds and I manage to get a stoppage. But that being said, I know that he's never been stopped, I think, his whole career. So I know he's going to be tough to put away. So I'll be preparing to go all 5 rounds.
Absolutely. And speaking of 5 rounds, this is your first time fighting 5 rounds, and if ever, it's been the first time in a long time. How have you done any different changes? Have you made any changes to prepare for the longer fight? Or, I mean, I feel like maybe that's something that you're sort of already ready for, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I've done 5-5s before. When I was Cage Warriors world champion, I went 5-5-minute rounds with Kurt Warburton. The second time I fought him, and I've prepared for longer than that as well. I had to prepare for 8 5-minute rounds one time, because it was a 4-man tournament. So the first fight was, it was 2 5-minute rounds, but if that was a draw after 2 rounds, it was 3 5-minute rounds in the first fight, and the second fight was 5 5-minute rounds. So I had to prepare to train for potentially 8 5-minute rounds, and that was brutal. The training for it, but
in the PFL playoffs used to have, I believe they used to have 2 rounds of playoffs to where you fought on the same night. So you would have been prepared for that, I guess.
Yeah, because when I fought in the 4-man tournament, it was 2 fights in one night. The first fight was the start of the card, and the second fight was like the end of the card. But yeah, I had to train for it, so I put in all the work. I managed to finish the first guy. I won by decision. I won both rounds, so it only went 2 rounds. I beat Jason Ball and then in the final, I got Sean Carter, and I managed to submit him in the first round. So I technically didn't even do 3 rounds. But it's the hard part's the training for it. You know, all the grueling 8 weeks of training for 8 5-minute rounds. So I feel like I'll be, prepared. I've been there before. I've been in the 4th and 5th round competing. It is a bit different. And yeah, I'll be well prepared. I mean, we're early days. We've still got 11 weeks, but yeah, I'll be more than ready.
Yeah, like you mentioned, there's still 11 weeks. Have you started your fight camp? Are you gonna, or obviously, I'm sure you're still training and everything, but are you getting into the intense training yet, or are you gonna be doing that as it gets a little bit closer?
So, I mean, I'm one of those fighters that yeah, I feel like you get two different types of fighters in terms of training. You get some fighters that disappear for a long time when they've not got fights, and then they'll come in and train when they have fight camps. I just treat this as my job. I turn up every day, so you're just changing the intensity, and that's where I suppose a good coach comes into play as well. Where I'm training just now. I've just finished wrestling this morning. And yeah, like I'm not counting my calories or anything like that just now. I'm just eating good and training, ticking over, and then as the weeks progress, obviously we'll pick up the training, and then when it gets to maybe 6 to 8 weeks out, that's when we'll really start picking it up. But yeah, just ticking over just now, trying to keep the weight down, not because if you're not training, you could easily balloon up in weight, and then you're at more risk of getting injured and so on.
What does your normal weight cut look like? Like, I know some people cut from for 55 cut from like 200, but I'm sure that most fighters aren't like that.
So pounds wise, I'm probably around 185 to 190 maybe. It seems to have sucked. So I've not weighed myself this week. I've been eating pretty good to be honest. I had my week or my 2 weeks where I had all my binge food and enjoyed some pizza and stuff. But yeah, I'm probably walking around about maybe 85 kilos. Um, yeah, and then just over the next kind of 6 weeks or the next 5 weeks, I'd like to try and get that down to about 80 kilogram. And then cut from kind of not water, but like start my be 6 weeks out. So I'm getting like 6 to 8 weeks around 80 kilograms rather than 85.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so switching gears a little bit, I know most people that know know that you retired once you left the UFC, but now you're back here. So, and you once you retired, when you competed at Polaris, um, I realized that you were competing there, and I was like, oh, he's still staying active and all of that. Was that just when you went to compete? Was that sort of just to see if you could still be competitive, or was that something that just staying active, or like what was your mindset going into the Polaris match?
So basically, when I retired, initially retired from fighting, it was because what happened with the UFC. The UFC they weren't confident that I would make it to a fight because I had knee injuries. And rather than trying to get through it and maybe look at an alternative or surgery or whatever, we just kind of spoke and said about going as a free agent. And then I didn't really want to do that. I wanted to stay with the UFC, but there was back and forths, and I ended up going as a free agent. And this was COVID as well, so it was a time of like when the world was falling to bits, lockdowns and all that. So because I realised pretty quickly, like a few weeks after I retired, that I probably wasn't going to stay retired. That I wanted to fight again. It was an emotional decision, basically. Um, the reason I competed in grappling was just because promotions weren't jumping at signing new guys when shows were getting cancelled. because of COVID. You know, there was Fight Island going on. So yeah, I mean, I just wanted to stay active. I was still training. You know, I wasn't training as hard, obviously, like when I was going through that stage, but I was still training jiu-jitsu, striking. Maybe focused a little bit more on jiu-jitsu because I had those comps. But yeah, I got 2 wins on Polaris, one against Paddy Pimlet, one against Craig Ewers. And yeah, and then I was pretty much just waiting to get a promotion to fight for. There was talks. I was talking with Brave. We were trying to talk to Bellator. Like, I'm just waiting on getting a deal, and then it was my manager Ali that said, you know, PFL are wanting to sign you for their $1 million tournament. And then then that's obviously what happened.
So then you signed with the PFL, and then going over sort of your route to the championship, you fought Anthony Pettis twice. Your first fight you won by that incredible modified twister, which you showcased in that Polaris fight against Craig Ewers. Where did you learn that? That is just such a incredibly unique submission, but it seems like that's something that you are really talented at.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if, you know, my body style, it works better for me because, you know, some people have tried it. It doesn't quite work great for them. Maybe I've got the perfect length of legs and thickness of legs, and because obviously body type comes into play on certain techniques as well. But yeah, I mean, someone hit against me one time when I was at Extreme Coutures, and yeah, I couldn't believe, I didn't know what they did. They did basically, I did what Anthony Pettis did. I've escaped, felt like I escaped the back and got into guard, and then next thing, I was in pain, so I was tapping, and then I asked the guy what it was, and you know, he said it was like a variation of the twister, and yeah, then I pretty much stole it from him. Whoever that guy was, I'm not sure, but yeah, and then I've landed it. You know, I land it in the gym a lot, and I landed it twice on high level competition. So yeah.
Man, yeah. So that, I think, for a lot of people was one of the submissions of the year, and that's just, you know, something that you are really good at. So that's really interesting. And then you fought Pettis again, won by decision, and now you're in the championship. Coming back to the championship fight, obviously, if you win $1 million. You mentioned if you lose, you are only making 50, but you're wanting to be paid a little bit more compared to some of your counterparts that are fighting in the championship. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's one of those ones. I mean, I'm grateful to the PFL for obviously, you know, giving me the opportunity, and I understand that, you know, I was coming off a long layoff, and I signed my contract for, you know, what I was due to be paid. But yeah, I mean, it was after I seen the Atlanta, you know, it got posted what everybody was making in Atlanta, and yeah, like, not being, well, maybe I'm being biased, but I feel like I'm a better fighter, and I have a better record, and, you know, a better CV, if you like, than some of the other guys that are getting paid a lot more than me. Yeah, I got paid that, you know, but I feel like I've now proved myself to get a, you know, a pay rise. And yeah, like you said, it's $1 million for the winner, or technically it's $950,000, because they count the last fight. That's part of the playoff. Because when I fought Pettis the second time, I got paid less than when I fought him the first time. I got 25 and 25 the second time I fought him. So obviously I won $50,000. That goes towards the $1 million. Which is fair enough, but I just feel like it's a little bit, it's like a kick in the teeth to the guy that loses. $50,000 is a huge, like, pay drop. You know, I feel like it should be a little bit more even. Like, $750,000 to the winner, $250,000 to the loser. And that's not because obviously I'm not confident. Like, I'm going to be confident. I'm going to train my arse off. I'm going to be coming for the top prize. But I feel like if two guys get to the final, one should not leave with $50,000 for the the amount of work we've had to do all year. I'd even probably take $500,000 each, because the loser gets 50, the winner gets 950. That's $1 million in total, 500K each. I would probably take, because that's life changing. That sort of money for me is life changing, and knowing you're getting that guaranteed. But even if it was like I said, 750, 250, 800, 200, something like that, is a wee bit more. It's just better security, like knowing that you're getting paid a good amount to fight, and then you've got a little win bonus as well, or a big win bonus, rather than literally all or nothing. If that makes sense.
It does, yeah. Yeah, because that is, like you mentioned, a big gap between winning. It puts, I'm sure it puts a little bit more pressure on you to win if you're wanting to win that $950,000. It puts a little bit more pressure on you to win that. I'm sure that you've gotten this question plenty of times, but if you do win the million or 950,000, what are you planning on using it on?
So I have 4 kids and a wife at home. I've already got a decent sized house with a long mortgage. So I'd probably look to either pay off my house, or I'm not sure which way works better, to pay off the house you're already in, or sell that house and buy a new house. But pretty much I'd look to do something that's going to be a long term investment, like, and what makes sense. So yeah, getting rid of like the biggest debt of your life, which is usually your house. Probably buy another family car, because like I said, there's 6 of us, 4 kids and me and my wife, and I have a dog as well, my dog Max. So yeah, probably get a bigger family car. It'd probably start with a big holiday, but my youngest one's not been on a holiday yet, like abroad. She's 2. So yeah, I'd look to probably go on a big family holiday, celebrate, and then do some of those things that I said. Maybe use some of the money to invest as well. Like, I've got my own gym at home as well, Braveheart MMA, that I've got guys running for me. Pretty much this whole year, I've had guys running it for me, helping out. So obviously, thanks to everybody at Braveheart MMA for taking care of that side of things while I focus on my training and fights. But yeah, I'd probably look to maybe get a new gym, because we've not got showers, we've not got any heating, so it's brutal in the winter. Yeah, maybe invest in the gym as well. Yeah,
all good things. Yeah, those are all good things. Focus on your family, then focus on your future. That's really important, and that's really cool. Okay, so I do have one sort of personal question. This may be sort of stereotypical, since I'm asking a Scottish person, but can you sell me on haggis? Like, why should I eat haggis? Because it sounds just honestly just kind of gross, but to Scottish people, that is like their meal. So can you explain to me why it's such a big deal and why people eat it?
Right. So I feel like if you had never ever tasted chicken or beef, if you had never tasted that before, and I showed you the picture, I showed you a cow or a chicken, and I said, you're going to eat this animal's skin. You're going to eat this skin. You'd probably be grossed out as hell. You'd be like, what? But obviously, having tasted it, unless you're a vegan or whatever, chicken and beef's pretty tasty. And I feel like it's similar to haggis. Like I'm sure haggis is like sheep's intestines or something. Or I'm sure it's something like sheep's intestines, maybe something to do with that. But yeah, it's tasty. Yeah, you cook it. You can have it. You can get it from the chip shop as well, where it's like fried. That's even better. So it's like haggis and batter, bit of brown sauce. Yeah, it's pretty tasty. I like it. So I would say everybody needs to maybe give it a wee try. But it's just literally like, yeah, I don't know if black pudding is another like. It's more. It's not so much a Scottish thing, but I'm not sure if it's like a UK thing as well. Black pudding, it's similar to that, but a different taste. And I'm sure black pudding is like something to do with that as well, like sheep's brain or something.
Yeah, black pudding.
It sounds
forgotten
gross,
about
obviously.
that, but yeah, that's
any sort of any animal organ or anything to do with that. It sounds gross, but it's pretty tasty.
That does make sense. Yeah. I'm sure that, some people are weirded out by eating, anything from an animal.
It's like I said, if you put a steak on a plate and it's cooked, it looks delicious. But then if you've seen what it was before that, you'd probably be a bit freaked out when you see the big animal, the big kill. So yeah, I suppose that's the way I would maybe explain it.
Okay. That makes me feel a little bit better about it. So when/if ever I go to Scotland, I would at least give it a try. So that makes me feel a little bit better about it. So I appreciate it.
Nice.
Okay, so before I let you go, I want to give you the floor to do any shout outs, and be sure to plug your social media, and have whatever other message you want to give. So the floor is yours.
So just thanks to everybody that supports me, all my fans, sponsors, teammates, coach, like everyone, my manager. You all know who you are. And yeah, like, when I'm going out there, I'm representing Scotland, I'm representing the UK, I'm going to give it my all. And I'm at Stevie Ray MMA on social media. Give me a follow, share my stuff. And yeah, thanks for the support. Thanks for the interview as well.
Absolutely. This has been Stevie Ray. He's fighting for the PFL Championship on November 25th. Stevie, thank you for your time today. Best of luck in your fight. And yeah, we'll talk to you soon.
Same, man. Thank you.